What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's F dot. Did I just make a theme song? Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, what's goody friends? It's your boy F dot Tom. I did that backwards. It's your boy Tom F dot. And it's week number 4 of the SPL. So we've got some things going on as far as picks are concerned. Panthera has lost. What the messed up my picks. But now we've got that information for the future. Panthera not immortal. They've lost to Cringe Crew of all teams. Down a player as Zashu is banned the F out. And they've got their coach playing as their substitute isn't even around. They had to go to their secondary sub Deathians. And they won against Panthera. I got nothing. Why don't we just get right into it then? Our picks. Where are you, Smite? There you are. Thank you. First game is going to be Luminosity versus Denial. I think this one is cut and dry. I think Luminosity, their issue earlier on, my phone is over there now. I think Luminosity showed early on that their issue was just ramping up. Barracuda spoke in week number 2 about the reason they lost was problematic as far as time management was concerned. He had some personal things going on. Wasn't able to really commit time to the game itself as he would have liked. And because of that, the team wasn't able to really practice. You can connect the dots. It didn't work out. And since then, they've just been wrecking it. Biggest point here is that the issue for me mainly is that although Barracuda said that it was a team thing, of course, as he's supposed to, I was really looking at Snoopy in week number 1, and then he picked it up. Everything changed. He's totally fine. I don't really have any... I'm not scared of Snoopy playing solo at all. I think Luminosity takes this over Denial easy peasy. I expected Denial to be a very strong team at the beginning of the season when I looked at the roster of Vedium, when I looked at the roster of Salt Machine, when I looked at the coaching of Drelo, when I looked at the jungle of Mask, and that's just not coming around. It's just not happening. And I don't know what the case is for this team, because if you ask me, split enemy down the middle, last year's enemy down the middle, and you get Chaos and Pain on one side and everybody else on the other, I'm putting my money on the other side, the side that wind up being in Denial. But it's just not happening. I don't know enough about Xenotronics. I'm just not happy with what I've been seeing in the mid lane. It's rough. Luminosity takes this 2-0 over Denial. Allegiance versus Randozos. I don't think Randozos... So, Randozos are on a terrible team. Ionic is playing with them. They're working in the correct direction. I think Allegiance is very good. I think Allegiance is very good at this moment. They've shown that they can put up or shut up. And they're not shutting up. They're playing with the big boys. I think that Allegiance is a good team. But Randozos have a lot of potential on their side. They have a lot of just, we're almost there. And I think Allegiance is the kind of team that Randozos wind up with their first win. Realistically, I think Allegiance is a better team than Randozos, but I think Randozos, I think they can step up to the plate when it comes to Allegiance. I think this one winds up being a split. I think that Allegiance and Randozos wind up trading games. Eager versus Soar is going to be a tough one. I think the easy way to go is saying that Soar wins this 2-0. But Eager is, despite their 2-4 record, I think they're much more of a middle-of-the-pack team than a bottom team. I think that Eager, they've got a lot of strength. I'm still looking at DJ Pernicus. It's a team game. DJ is always the first one to remind you that it's a team game and no one person, blah, blah, blah. But DJ is the one person that's been having problems on this squad. And as it's a team game, the whole team isn't able to perform most of the time. Now, I say most of the time because the most recent game that Eager played, DJ Pernicus played a Hun Bats, and it worked out fantastically for the team. Excuse me. DJ has always excelled on these sort of team-oriented picks, whether it's a Guan Yu or something like that. He's always been able to assist his team by way of setup, by way of decision-making, and honestly, when you have 2 players on the outside, like Divios and Zapman, I don't think a lot of the heavy lifting has to be done by DJ Perningus. So in all honesty, I think that this is sitting on DJ Pernicus's situation, where if he's able to step it up, I think Eager are able to win a game off of Soar. But if DJ returns to an assassin-type role and is unable to fill it, then I think Soar wins this too. I do want to give Eager the benefit of the doubt. I think they're an exciting team. I think they're a fun team. And I think that DJ Pernicus is a lot better than a lot of people out there think. I've said this before about Dare to Karen, we'll get to Elite. Well, if Allegiance plays again, we'll get to it. If not, I'll just mention my thoughts on the role swap at the end. But when it comes to DJ Pernicus, he's a player that a lot of people in our scene haven't seen the upside to. Whether you're new to Smite or just newer than most, DJ Pernicus has a long legacy of actually being very, very good at this game. And when surrounded with other people like Divios and Zapman, I think some of the problems in DJ's game historically has been decision making, and when it comes down to it, he's surrounded by people that have the brain trust of Eager is something that I do believe in. So I think the safe bet here is Soar 2-0, and I won't be mad at you if you pick the 2-0 for Soar. But realistically speaking, if DJ Pernicus performs, I think Eager can win a game off of these guys. I think Eager can dance with the best. Panthera versus Hungry for More now. Cringe Crew beat Panthera. They are mortal. They can lose. They can be beaten. It's not going to happen with Hungry for More. Dignitas versus Leftovers. This is a much more spicy match than you might have anticipated. Dignitas was projected by myself and many other people to be the worst team in the league, and they've quickly shown us that that's not the case. Leftovers, on the other hand, was predicted to be a middle-of-the-pack team, and that's pretty much what they're doing. I think that these two teams are very, very similar in skill level, and I'm really excited to see these two squads face off. I think that this goes 3 different ways. I think that this could be Dignitas just going, you know what? We're good now. We had some issues, but nah, man, we're going to handle it. I think it's also Leftovers going, yo, Badger, where are you at? We're going to win. I think it's very easily in either direction. I don't want to pick a split, though. I really don't want to pick a split. I think split is the safe bet here. But running off of the success that Dignitas had last week, I think this is a match that splits the middle of Europe apart. We're about halfway through the season, 11 weeks of play, 1 bye week. We're in week number 4, a little bit behind halfway through the season. I think that this is where Dignitas separates themselves from the pack. I think Dig can take this game 2-0 above Leftovers. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a stomp. It'll be very close, and Leftovers can definitely wind up with a win. But I'm telling you right now, I think that Dignitas has the possibility to 2-0. This is definitely my stretch pick. I'm going Dignitas. I think you can go any of 3 ways, and you won't be called stupid by anybody intelligent in the community. I do think that Dignitas have this one, but this is my stretch pick. I think it's very possible that Dignitas lose this 1-1 or lose it 0-2. But running off of the momentum that Dignitas had from last week, I think that we can see them take over Leftovers. Paradigm versus Cringe Crew. That's actually really funny. You guys can't see it, but Deathians actually just came online. That's hilarious. Shouts to Deathians, who stepped it up in the solo lane. Cringe Crew has lost their solo laner Zashu he's competitively banned for a year. Now, what the rules state, after 2 weeks, the team and the player can appeal the ban. He was banned for his 5th problem with respects to harassment. So you break the rules 5 times, like, sorry, bro. Same exact thing happened to Mask last year. Actually, funnily enough, it was exactly 1 year. It was the 7th of April. It was April 7th. So, I don't know. Just a little note there. Illuminati. Cringe Crew. Deviants. Solo lane. Got booty stomped in the first game. And then the second game, like, kind of won the game against Panthera. What? He was able to play tier. And last week, he also wound up playing. That was the first day that Zachu was banned. And he played Vamana pretty well. Like, he was able to play. He was able to dance with the pros. He beat Panthera along with the rest of his team. So you can't count Cringe Crew out of this. By no means do I think this is a 2-0. And honestly, Paradigm played last week. And they played against a lesser opponent. Game number 1, they got beat. They were embarrassed. And then game number 2, they kind of beat them in like 20 minutes or so. Paradigm, I think, is going to come into this game going, look, Cringe Crew, you beat Panthera. Good for you. You're not going to beat us. And I think that off of that, knowing how Paradigm plays, they're very, they're driven by a lot of these things. I think they take a look at Cringe Crew and play almost a step above what they're used to playing, just because they don't want to also be a part of the Cringe Crew situation as far as them getting better. So I think this goes to Paradigm. Fnatic versus Torpedo. Fnatic is a false 2-6. This is a very false 2-6. Fnatic is a lot better than their record, than their win-loss record may tell you. Torpedo winds up going 2-6 now, and Fnatic brings it to 4-6. I expect Fnatic to be about 500 when it comes time to next week. Now, Fnatic versus Hunger for More, I think it's the same situation. I think this is the match that brings Fnatic up to 500. Just off of the team alone, but I'm going to go back here because these two games are both on Saturday. Fnatic have the doubleheader this week. Envy played it in week number 3 where they played 2 games on Sunday. Fnatic will play 2 games on Saturday, which of course is actually 2 sets, which means 4 games. That's a lot. They are lesser opponents, but does the fatigue get to Fnatic? That's really your question here that you got to ask yourself. Will the fatigue reach Fnatic and allow Hunger for More to be able to take one off of them? Well, here's my statement. Not the core. Zeros, Reels, and Maniac have been going to lands since, 2 years ago. 3 years ago is pushing it. 2 years ago sounds about right. Reels was even at launch tournament, right? Like these guys are veterans of the long marathons of play. Jiffy and Big Man Tings, less Big Man Tings and more Jiffy, because Big Man Tings had played a lot in the Challenger Cup, so he's used to these long hours. Jiffy, however, I could be wrong here, but my knowledge of his inclusion in the Challenger Cup is a little bit lacking. Jiffy, maybe he played under a different name, but certainly in season 2 wasn't super involved with season 1 wasn't super involved in the Challenger Cup. Season 2, my attention to the CC sort of waned a little bit, but I still kept a thumb on it. Don't remember too much Jiffy. So, I don't know. I'm looking at Jiffy here. If anybody's going to suffer fatigue from the doubleheader, it's going to be Jiffy, but I still think Fnatic is just a much better team than Hungry for More in general. Moving on to Sunday, North American games, Enemy versus Envy. Similar to how I said the 2-6 out of Fnatic was a false representation of the team, I think the 7-1 of Enemy is a false representation of the team. I think that Enemy is better than most people expect, and I think that Enemy is better than most people anticipate. However, I definitely don't think they're the number 1 team in the league. With that said, Envy has shown their signs of struggling. They have been 6-4. They've been largely successful. But even in the games that they win, outside of a couple, you do see them struggling a little bit. I think that this is easy to say that Envy wins this 2-0, but realistically, giving Enemy the respect that they have earned and deserved this far into the split, I think you got to put this as a split. I think that Enemy is very capable of winning against Enemy or Envy, and vice versa. I think that both of these teams, their names are too similar to really pick a winner. So let's go with the split. LG versus Soar. This is one of the matches that I am the most excited to see. Luminosity versus Soar Gaming. Both of these teams are extremely well equipped to take each other on. Both of these teams are extremely good. Both of these teams, the difference here is Luminosity was expected to be good. Soar, not so much. A lot of interesting names on Soar. But me, I've quickly become a Whirlwind fanboy. I think that Whirlwind has what it takes to become one of the superstars in the league. I really, really think that Whirlwind, combining with the rest of his squad, is a force to be reckoned with. I think that Luminosity winds up splitting this series with Soar. I think a lot of fans at home will vote 2-0 Luminosity. I think, more realistically, this is a split and possibly a 2-0 for Soar. It all, like, if Andy gets off and running, well, I mean, that's the Andy freight train. That's always the possibility. But I think Soar looks a little bit more consistent, and I don't know. This could easily be a 2-0 going the way of Soar, and I think a lot of people will lose FP for it. But me, I'm going to go what I consider the safe route on this one. I think the split will be more likely. I think these two teams are very evenly matched. I think that Luminosity wins game number 1, I think that Soar wins game number 1, and then Luminosity sees what goes on, adjusts, fixes their strategy, and wins game number 2. I'll even give you the order there. Soar wins game 1, Luminosity is able to adapt to their opponent a little bit better, and winds up taking game number 2. Enemy versus Eager, very similar situation to what I said before. Enemy is a very good team, but perhaps not the number 1 7-1 squad. And Eager is a much better team than the 2 and 4 represent. I think that coming into this one, Eager and Enemy are probably more appropriately matched than Envy. I think that the split that happens between Enemy and Envy winds up being because of Envy's misplays, more so than Enemy's ability to just booty stomp Envy. I think Envy makes a handful of mistakes here, a handful of communication errors, a handful of location errors, whatever the hell happens. I think that Envy makes a handful of mistakes or a couple of mistakes, a few mistakes, one or two mistakes, and Enemy is able to just take advantage of those situations. When it comes to Enemy versus Eager, I think that the way that Enemy beats Eager is just being similarly skilled. I don't think it's Eager's job to beat themselves here. I think that Eager and Enemy are much more similarly skilled than Envy versus Enemy, where I think that Envy has a slight leg up against the red and black. Looking at Eager versus Enemy, I think that these teams wind up going head to head, and this is probably the toughest game of the week to call. It's tough, man. I think I got to give this one. I think I got to give this one to the split, or I want to give this one to Eager. But honestly, this is a game that I want to change my pick late in the week. This is Monday Night Smite, so you get the opportunity here. Basically, I think this is Enemy's win or a split. Panda Cat has shown that he will dance with the best of them. And I think that Panda Cat will fight with Zapman. Zapman will probably beat Panda Cat. But I think it will be a tough matchup. I think that long lane matchup will be pretty tough. And I think that Enemy has the potential to beat Eager. However, if Eager wins earlier on in the week, Eager plays... Who do they play earlier on in the week? Eager plays Soar earlier on in the week. If they get that split... I told you this was a stretch for me. If Eager and Soar split down the middle, I think that it's very possible that Eager not only wins one, but 2-0s Enemy. I think it's very possible. Because if Eager win or take a game off of Soar earlier on in the week, a big part of that is going to be what DJ Pernicus has been able to bring to the table. If DJ Pernicus, or rather the team around DJ Pernicus, adjusts to the strategy that they choose to elect, which hopefully is more... team fight, support-oriented junglers, in my opinion, then I think that Eager comes into this match not just intangible and wind in their sails, momentum will carry them, but also they just have a better grasp on what will make Eager a successful team. If Eager lose both games to Soar because of pick problems or composition problems or teamwork problems, I think Enemy takes this set. So this one, I kind of want to leave till Monday. I will give you my pick. I will give you my pick. Right now, I think it's safe to go split. I'll put my money on split, honestly. I'll put my money on split. I think that these teams are evenly matched. I think that Eager and Enemy have very similar skill levels. But I am going to come back Saturday or Sunday night. Or, you know what? After Thursday, I'm going to come back and I'm going to adjust my pick. Because if Eager are able to take a game off of Soar, or God forbid win both, the reason they're able to do that has a lot to do with, and I'm focusing on DJ Pernicus just because he's the part of the team that needs to come together. It is his individual performance, but it's more about how his individual performance fits with the rest of the squad. If the rest of the team of Team Eager are able to understand that DJ should play these Guan Yus, even Cabrakan, I don't know if DJ likes Cabrakan, but these gods that can assist and facilitate the team into finding kills instead of the Ao Kuangs and the Najas, I think that this team will be a lot more successful. If they're able to identify that issue or that situation, turn things around and adjust their gameplay to better include the possibilities of junglers like that, I think the Team Eager winds up being successful, not just in this set, but is able to carry that very tangible success into the Monday Night Smite game of the week. However, if Eager does not, and they drop the ball to Soar while trying to force traditional or trying to force more assassin-oriented jungles in the jungle, and it's unable to be pulled off, then I think we see the same sort of faltering against Enemy, and I think Enemy can 2-0 Eager. This is a very volatile matchup. I will leave split, but I will change it for the reasons that I just said as the week gets later and later. That's going to do it. Those are my picks for the week. I guess we can run through them. I don't know why I just came out. I guess we can run through them. Thursday, LG versus Denial. I have LG over Denial. Allegiance versus Randozos. I have this as a split. I think that Randozos find their first win against Allegiance, despite the role changes being very, very positive for Allegiance. Eager versus Soar. I think that everything that I just said, it's all up to Eager to identify what's making them lose. Panthera versus Hunger for More. Yes, Panthera are immortal. They're going to lose. Not the Hunger for More. Dignitas versus Leftovers. This is my stretch pick. I think that realistically these teams are evenly matched. But judging from the success that Team Dignitas had last week and looking at how damn good Sun Touch has been, I think that Dignitas beats Leftovers despite them being evenly matched. Paradigm versus Cringe Crew. Cringe Crew are the ones that beat Panthera first, and they did it not just a man down, but with their second string substitute. Paradigm doesn't want that to happen to them. They're going to beat Cringe Crew. Fnatic versus Torpedo. Going to keep on keeping on. Fnatic versus Hunger for More. Does Jiffy last through the 4-game marathon that is a doubleheader? If so, then Fnatic wins this 2-0. If Jiffy starts to falter because he's playing 3 hours in a row, then Hunger for More might be able to sneak a win. But realistically, I think FNC takes both of their games in their doubleheader. Enemy versus Envy. This one is less about the skill level of the team and more about just the overall situation of Envy. I think that Enemy is a worse team than Envy. It's probably more polite to say I think that Envy is better equipped to win than Enemy is. But Envy has beaten themselves in the past. I think that this winds up being a split because Enemy is very good at taking advantage of your opponent's mistakes, and I think that Envy will make those mistakes. LG versus Soar, split down the middle. These are both very, very good teams. And then Enemy versus Eager, like I said, split down the middle for now, judging on Team Eager's appearance earlier on in the week. If they're able to identify why they lose, Eager can easily win this set. That's it for me. I'm going to get going. Make sure you get your picks in, and if you have anything particularly spicy, make sure you let me know. YouTube.com/f.ny is where this is going to be at. All the socials up there in the top left or top right, I guess, depending. I don't really know how this video comes out. Either way, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and all that nonsense. You guys really help it out. So, we'll see you next week for the SPL.